Welcome back to podcast Conversations on Philippine History, Politics, and Society. I am Deacon Dadaria.
I am Vecal Porha.
And I'm Joselito Ebro.
And we're continuing our season Bagay-Bagay, Philippine Life Through Objects, where we explore the fascinating stories behind everyday items that have shaped Filipino history and culture. Last time, ang pinag-usapan natin ay Manila Paper. No? Nagpatuloy yung series natin onto school supplies. We explored how nostalgic it is and how it's kind of dying because of digital tools nowadays.
So ngayon, we're talking about another object that millions of Filipinos remember from their childhood. So a dense, often hard bread that was distributed in schools across the country for decades.
Pero akala ko talaga lahat ng countries meron nito. Yung pala, uniquely Filipino tong experience na to. At yun nga ay ang Nutriban.
Yes, the Nutriban. Ito yung fortified bread that has sparked more debates than perhaps any other food item sa kasaysayan ng Pilipinas. Kasi ano ba, is it a symbol of care, of nutrition? Is it a tool for political propaganda? Is it really a genuine solution to malnutrition, or is it all of the above?
Fascinating, no? How a simple bread can carry so much weight. Pun intended. sa collective memory natin. So ngayon we'll discover how this American-funded nutrition program became so deeply embedded in Filipino consciousness na hanggang ngayon ay pinag-uusapan pa. 50 years simula nung na-introduce siya.
Mm-hmm. So what really is up with this snack? Pag-usapan natin yan.
So what exactly is Nutriban? If you've never seen one, imagine nyo na lang na medyo mas malaki siya ng konti sa Monay.
Okay, so yung original Nutriban from 1970s was yun nga, dense saka heavy. So sabi nila mga 80 to 170 grams depending sa source. Some people remember it as hard, like parang bato daw, rock-like. Tapos yung iba naman, sabi nila, it was like sobrang nakakabusog. Like very satisfying, very satiating. So, pero yung nanay ko, pag siya yung nagkukwento tungkol sa Nutriban, ang lagi niyang sinasabi, binubukbok daw. May bukbok. O yung mga maliliit na bugs na nakita natin sa bigas or weevils yung tawag doon.
So, iba-iba nga yung memories ng mga tao, no? May mga nagsasabi na masarap daw yun, meaty, flavorful. Pero may iba namang naalala na parang smelled like old.
Old bread.
Na kahit bagong luto pa.
Yeah. Actually, parang it's typically brownish. Hindi siya yung parang very appetizing yung color of modern bread. And I think the taste, yan yung medyo nagda-diverge yung memories. For some, they find it a bit sweet and nutty, while others, ang lasang gamot daw, if that's the word, vitamin E.
So, yung isang distinctive feature ng Nutriban na maraming nakakaalala, sabi nila, mabilis daw siyang amagin. Like, within 2 to 3 days, may mold na. Pero yung paliwanag dyan, sadya daw yon. Para daw, halimbawa, kapag pinapamigay siyang relief goods during disaster operations, hindi i-hoard ng mga tao kasi kailangan mo siyang kainin agad-agad.
Pero yung meron tayong enhanced Nutriban o yung e-Nutriban launched in 2020. And sobrang iba na to. It's softer, easier to bite, and comes in many variants made with squash, carrot, or sweet potato. So, iba-iba pa nga yung yung flavor depending on the vegetable used. Orange for even the color, like orange for squash and carrot variant.
So siya, ito namang e-Nutriban ay 165 grams. So mas mabigat dun sa original na Nutriban. At ayun nga, sabi nila mas texture, yung texture niya ay mas child-friendly.
Sabi nga nung iba, mas gusto daw ng mga bata yung bagong version kasi hindi na singtigas ng bato. So, although may nostalgic aspect pa rin para sa mga tito at tita dyan, nahanap pa rin yung dense texture ng original Nutriban.
I think part ng experience itong Nutriban, para sa mga nakaabot dito, lalo na, ay yung distribution nitong Nutriban. It's usually given out before classes started, sometimes with milk, sometimes wala. No? So, then students would have to line up to receive their bun. And for many, it became as much as part of, like a school routine. Parang kumaga flag ceremony level na pagdadaanan mo. No? Especially for public schools, kasi ito naman yung naging target nito.
So, yung mga school na iba, meron silang special storage para sa mga Nutriban deliveries. In fact, may mga ibang nagkukwento na yung classroom daw nila malapit dun sa storage area ng Nutriban. So, amoy tinapay daw buong araw.
Yeah, and unlike Pandesal, which is universally available, itong Nutriban ay specifically a school thing. It's a government program. Hindi mo siya mabibili lang basta-basta sa bakery. So, in a way, it kind of makes it special that it's just a school thing.
So, hindi mo siya pwedeng bilhin sa mga grocery store, 'di ba? At sabi nila, yung experience din daw nito ay nag-iiba depende sa region. So, regional experiences. Sa ibang area, mas regular and systematic yung distribution. So, talagang pwedeng asahan na pag dating mo sa school, meron kang Nutriban. Pero yung iba naman, mas sporadic. So, and yun nga, urban schools often had better supply chains than rural ones. Which is quite ironic kasi nung mga panahon na to, rural areas needed it more.
At lumipat naman tayo sa paano nga ba nagsimula ang Nutriban, no? So it's a story that spans continents and decades, beginning in the late 1960s.
Yeah, late 1960s. It's actually kind of like a challenging time for the Philippines kasi child malnutrition rates were soaring. At noon, si President Ferdinand Marcos Sr., the father of the current president, his administration was facing a balance of payments crisis. It was in this context that the United States, through the U.S. aid, commissioned the development of a fortified bread.
So the actual development of Nutriban happened between 1968 and 1970. So parang towards the tail end of the first term of Ferdinand Marcos. And it involved Virginia Polytechnic Institute and Kansas State University. So si Dr. Euben William Engel of USA Nutrition led the formula development. And then, ang sabi nila dito, they referred it as ready-to-eat complete meal. High-caloric siya.
Ang gandang i-highlight no na hindi siya Filipino invention. It was an American solution to a Filipino problem, developed as part of the U.S. Food and Peace Program, also known as the Public Law 480.
And Nutriban was first introduced in the Philippines around 1970. It's initially part of relief efforts. Itong yung formal na USAID Food for Peace program, which involved Nutriban, ran from 1971 to 1997. So that's 26 years. So.
Yes. So by 1971, the Marcos administration launched Operation Timbang, where they would weigh, children, preschool children madalas, or really young children in school, to determine who among them suffered from malnutrition. So the Nutriban distribution was integrated into this Operation Timbang.
At dapat linawin rin, no, na yung Nutriban hindi siya libre.
Hindi laging libre.
Students had to pay initially 10 centavos, which later changed to 25 centavos by mid-1980s. Though very poor students could, of course, get some sponsors.
At itong program na ito, it expanded quickly. From just 7 schools, part of the pilot ng 1971, it grew to 2,890 schools nationwide by 1976. And at its peak, in 1973, it reached 1.7 million Filipino children.
Yeah, but what made Nutriban really famous or infamous, depende kung anong taste mo, ay yung Great Luzon Flood noong July 1972. At dito, sa relief operation na to, 8 million buns were airdropped to flood victims.
At dito na nga papasok yung politics. Kasi iba yung dating, especially nung approach, no, parang talagang laking tulong coming from the Marcos administration. Bags of USA-donated Nutriban were stamped with words like courtesy of Imelda Marcos Tulungan Project. So, an American aid became branded as Marcos Generosity.
Correct. Naalala ko yan yung I think it was a memoir by Nancy Daman, no? Titled My 17 Years with USAID, The Good and the Bad. Dito niya binanggit itong pagsastamp nitong Nutriban ng courtesy of Imelda Marcos Tulungan Project. No? So talagang kitang-kita, talagang ginamit, no? Yung programang hindi naman kanila, no? Among the many things, no? Just one of the many things na ninakaw ng mga Marcos. This happened around 2 months before martial law was declared, no, in September 1972. So I think we can say na the timing wasn't coincidental. The regime was already building its image as the provider and the protector of the people.
Yeah, so by 1975, the Philippine government would officially take over the Nutriban production. Pero yung supplies, yung ingredients, wheat flour, milk powder, galing pa rin sa USAID. Tayo na gumagawa pero dependent pa rin sa mga supplies na galing America. Tingin ko kasi yung formula niya, di ba? Yung ingredients ay hindi readily available sa atin. Hindi naman tayo nagkatanim ng wheat.
Yeah.
Di ba?
And from 1970s and 1980s, no, Nutriban became common sa mga public schools. So, bukod pa sa Manila paper. Official reports claimed severe malnutrition dropped from 5% to less than 1%. However, it was pointed out that in a 1982 survey, it mentioned that 40% of poor households still faced daily hunger.
Diba, paano yun? 40% of households are poor and yet buwaba yung malnutrition to 1%? Parang talagang alam mong the government is spinning its own story. Anyway, the program was gradually phased out after 1986, no, with final distributions in 1997. The US had decided that the Philippines was actually less needy, no, kumpara sa African nations. Maliban pa sa nagbago na yung political landscape noon kasi nangyari na nga yung people power.
Interestingly though, yung Nutriban, it didn't completely disappear. Kumbaga parang it served as a model for future feeding programs. Kasi halimbawa noong 2014, then Manila Mayor Joseph Estrada revived the program. And sa noong 2019, binalik din ng Marikina. So, itong mga small and mas locally based na feeding programs, yung naging, kumbaga may callback dun sa Nutriban.
So, then came 2020 and COVID-19, no? Walang online Nutriban, pero yung Department of Science and Technology o yung DOST via their Food and Nutrition Research Institute developed this enhanced Nutriban. And this time, a fully Filipino creation using local ingredients like squash.
Yeah, and I think this is not just a revival, no. They're trying to reimagine it and trying to make it apply more to the Filipino context. The e-Nutriban's goal is still to address modern nutritional concerns like micronutrient deficiencies, di ba? Hindi lang siya issue ng caloric content or protein content like before. Now, ang tinatry niyang isolve ay yung kakulangan nga ng micronutrients.
Yun nga. And of course, with the presidency of Ferdinand Marcos Jr. around 2022, Nutriban has returned to national prominence with significant budget allocations for school feeding programs featuring the enhanced version.
So, from an American food aid in the 1970s to Filipino innovation in 2020s, Nutriban has witnessed and adapted to 5 decades of Philippine history. Ang galing, no? So, let's take a quick break. And when we come back, we'll explore what Nutriban means to Filipinos across generations.
Welcome back to podcast. So pinag-uusapan natin ang Nutriban at ang kanyang cultural impact sa mga Pilipino.
Yeah, for many Filipinos who grew up in the 70s and the 80s, Nutriban is more than just the bread. No? It's a kind of a generational marker, a shared experience that bonds people of certain age. Although i-share ko lang, no, na sa school kasi namin may Nutriban eh. Hindi ko to makakalimutan eh. In fact, sana hindi siya nakikinig dito, no. Meron kaming kaklaseng pinagbebenta namin ng Nutriban. Kumbaga parang siya, income generating siya ng teacher.
Yung sa mga public school, yung mga nagbebenta
Sa mga public school.
classroom.
So, nagbebenta ng stick o si ma'am, nagbebenta rin siya ng ballpen. Meron din siyang binibenta ng Nutriban. At yung kaklase namin na nagbebenta nito, ang name niya ay Mona Lisa, siya ay binansagan kong Monay Lisa kasi nga nagbebenta siya ng Nutriban. Wala lang, na-share ko lang.
Medyo mature ka nun, no?
Siyempre, grade school no? Pero ang point lang ay, even in the 90s, no, meron ding nanatili itong memory nitong Nutriban kasi nga ginamit siya sa ibang context, no. Hindi siya not necessarily the feeding program.
Pero kung sabihin mo yung word na Nutriban sa mga Gen X, no, or older millennials dyan, automatic may reaction sila eh. So, nostalgic smile, lagi yung pwede nilang ibigay sa'yo, or grimace, no. Depende sa experience nila kasi it's like a password to a shared childhood.
Totoo. So, very contested yung pag-alala sa Nutriban. For some, it represents care. So, it's the government ensuring children didn't go to school hungry. Para naman sa iba, it's a reminder of difficult times. Yung alam mo yun, yung pag nakakakita ng Nutriban or nakakatikim ulit, it brings back memories of poverty. Very common, Halimbawa, yung parents ko, sa coffee, pagdating sa kape, mas gusto nila yung instant coffee. Kasi yung brewed coffee, it reminds them of the Barako coffee. Tapos sabi nila, ito yung kape na ginagamit nila pag wala silang pambili ng instant coffee.
So mas social for them yung instant coffee.
Oo.
Ang galing, no? Yeah. That's fascinating. I mean, how objects can become symbols of periods of life, no? Or experiences. Parang itong Nutriban, no? I mean, naging symbol din kasi siya eh, no? It just transcended, it went beyond its nutritional purpose. In fact, during the Marcos era, it represented this self-proclaimed care for the masses, part of this bagong lipunan, no, or new society narrative.
Yun nga eh, kasi para sa mga supporters ng mga Marcoses, no, the Nutriban is a proof of regime's benevolence. Lagi mong maririnig na at least nga may pakialam sila sa mga bata or they cared about the children. Pero kasama yan talaga, no, sa golden age mythology na sinasabi nila.
Tama. Kasi para sa mga kritiko, yung Nutriban, it symbolizes something very different, like how they appropriated foreign aid for political gain. Diba? Gamitin mo yung tinapay to distract from human rights abuses. Kaya nga yung may mga protest slogan na Nutriban is a lie or something like that.
Yeah. The name itself kasi carries weight. I remember one of our previous episodes weeks ago, yung San Juanico Bridge, diba? It's actually shorthand or military slang for a torture method, no, nung panahon ng martial law. Parang ganun din tong Nutriban eh. It became a shorthand for Marcos era propaganda disguised as charity.
So it only shows, no, how even food can become politically charged. You cannot separate the bread from the context in which it was distributed.
Yes, and tulad nung binanggit kanina, generationally, the divide was very clear. So para sa mga mas nakakatanda, yung mga naka-receive ng Nutriban, kapag inaalala siya, very visceral. Tulad ng mga binanggit natin kanina, matigas, di ba? O lasang amoy luma, lasang gamot, di ba? Pero para sa mga younger generation, pag sinabing Nutriban, mas titingnan siya bilang, kumbaga, a historical artifact or a political talking point.
Oo, I mean, kasi diba, may class dimension siya. If you're rich, of course, wala kang memory ng Nutriban kasi specifically for undernourished children in public schools. No? And I think interestingly, no, may mga recipients ito that don't really recall feeling stigmatized. If I could also share, nung grade school ako, may mga feeding programs na nakaka-reach sa school namin, pero kasi ang target ay yung mga underweight. So bago ka bigyan ng food, iwi-weigh ka.
Titimbangin ka muna.
So hindi ako nagko-qualify.
Kasama ka ba dun?
Kaya inis ako kasi minsan parang meron dati, hindi siya Nutriban, pero yung pinapamigay ay parang isang pack ng cheese curls na fortified with vitamins. Pero bago ka makakuha nun, titimbangin ka. Hindi nila ako kailangan timbangin. Nakikita pa lang nila ako, alam nila you're not qualified.
Alam mo nila.
Promise, oo. So ang point lang ay yung memories nito kasi ay hindi, depende rin sa class. If you experienced it, you have a memory of it. But if not, then you remember it for something else, or perhaps you don't remember it at all.
Well, totoo yan, Lino, kasi parang naalala ko rin nun may mga classmates ako na ganyan din yung na-experience. At nabanggit nga rin kanina na yung pag sinabi mo yung Nutriban, either matutuwa ka or malulungkot ka dahil sa mga experiences mo before.
Yeah.
Okay, so yung cultural meaning niya, it also, yun na, tulad ng sinabi, medyo geographical din. So yung mga area na mas okay yung implementation, mas well-managed, yung memories tend to be more positive. Pero yung mga lugar na mas, kumbaga, erratic nga yung distribution, yung may mga involved na corruption, mas negative memories yung associated with Nutriban.
Ayun nga I mean, if we're talking about the Filipino food culture, ano ba yung place ng Nutriban dito? Kasi unlike yung episode natin on banana ketchup, no, it became a commercial product. It's a cultural staple. But the Nutriban remained tied to government programs. I mean, we are all Filipinos in the diaspora. It's not like we're craving Nutriban, no? Or na nanghihingi tayo ng, padalhan nyo kaming Nutriban. Hindi. It really just remained tied to the government program.
Pero kahit anumang version niya, no, or iteration, tinatawag pa rin nilang Nutriban. So may something,
Yeah.
Tama, no? Yung enhanced Nutriban na hindi na galing sa USAID, iba na yung lasa, iba na yung itsura, iba na yung ingredients na ginagamit. Pero Nutriban pa rin yung wala bang patent yung Nutriban ng USAID kasi tinawag din siya Nutriban, di ba? So talagang meron pa rin continuation.
Yeah. I think the point we're trying to arrive at here is that the Nutriban really occupies a unique space in Filipino cultural memory. It's a symbol of care and control, of scarcity and provision, and of course, of foreign dependence and national identity.
Now let's talk about Nutriban today and the controversies that still surround it.
Yes, so the modern, quote-unquote, revival of Nutriban under Marcos Jr. administration, it has reignited old debates. Kasi nga, ito ba ay isang genuine concern for nutrition? Kaya yung project nito, ito ba yung dahilan nun? Or political messaging? So the question is, can you really separate the bread from its baggage?
Yeah, kasi considerable, no? Yung perang inilagak ng pamahalaan for the school-based feeding program, no, ng DepEd. That's 3.3 billion peso budget in 2022 alone. At alam natin na yung Nutriban ay bahagi nga itong e-Nutriban ay bahagi nitong school feeding programs.
And compare that to the original program, which was essentially American funded. Today's version is domestically funded and produced, which represents a kind of food sovereignty that the original actually lacked.
Yes, and yung mga kritiko, they argue that this revival actually serves a different purpose. And of course, that is to rehabilitate the Marcos name. So, di ba, parang tool siya for nostalgia. So, nostalgia as political strategy. So, ngayon, kung yung Nutriban ay nagiging political talking point, they wanted to associate something positive with it. Kasi di ba, like, why the callback? Why call it Nutriban? It's an entirely different thing, di ba? Why didn't they choose to call it something else?
Correct, no? Like itong si Senator Amy Marcos, no, called the Nutriban a kind of Marcos manna, or like a gift to the poor, no. That's actually quite controversial, no? Kasi itong si Amy explicitly links today's Nutriban programs to her father's era, which is kind of a historical, actually hindi kind of, it's historical revisionism.
Pero sa totoo lang may punto yung critics kasi yung original Nutriban nga was a USAID program and Marcos has just branded it as their own. Now yung pattern repeats, a DOST developed product being linked to Marcos legacy. Parang may mali talaga.
Yeah, and it also like addresses a different problem entirely. Kasi yung nature ng malnutrition ngayon, iba na like, tulad sinabi natin kanina, hindi na lang siya usapin ng calories, di ba? Yung deficiencies natin at ng mga bata ngayon, very specific sa halimbawa iron, yung mga ganon. So vitamins, so yun Yun yung inilagay nila dun sa enhanced Nutriban.
Yeah.
At syempre, nandun din yung issue ngayon ng rising obesity rates.
Yeah. So ngayon, yun nga, nabanggit ni Vec, no, na yung e-Nutriban, it's focused on iron and vitamin A fortification plus the use of vegetables. It's obviously nutritionally superior to the original. But is it also the best for modern malnutrition?
But there's also this sustainability question, no, or concern. Kasi school feeding programs show short-term benefits. But do they address the root causes of malnutrition? Like poverty, food insecurity, lack of agricultural development. Marami pa eh.
Yeah, that's why a lot of people would say that, these kinds of programs, these Nutriban, they actually create dependency rather than empowerment. Kasi yun nga, instead of addressing why families can't feed their children adequately, nagbibigay daw ng mga temporary fixes. So parang pareho ng mga argument ng mga kontra sa 4Ps, di ba?
Yeah. And yet for educators and health workers on the ground, itong mga debates na ito matter really less than the immediate reality na may mga bata pa rin gutom na hindi effectively makapag-aral. Kasi nga naman, kapag, di ba, kumakalaman sikmura mo, paano papasok sa utak mo yung lesson? So, I think something is better than nothing in this case, no?
Yeah, they don't need to eat in the long run. They need to eat every day.
Yes, correct.
Parang naisip ko tuloy, nakakain din palang propaganda, no? Magaling.
Literal.
So, looking forward, no? What's the future of Nutriban? Will it remain a cyclical political tool, revived during crises and elections? Or could it evolve into a sustainable, apolitical nutrition intervention?
Yung enhanced version, lalo na yung paggamit niya ng local ingredients, it's sort of potential, no? Pero kung lagi lang ding ididikit sa pangalang Marcos, I think it would remain political and divisive.
Yeah, and there's nothing novel or groundbreaking with the feeding program. I mean, matagal na siyang ginagawa. No? But I think yung point is, ang mahalaga may feeding program, no? And I think yun yung ultimate significance ng bagay like Nutriban, no? But I think, yun nga yung point na the Nutriban itself isn't just a feeding program. It's also a lens by which we can examine politics, memory, and basic human needs and how they intersect within Filipino society. Kasi magkakakawing sila. Anyway, that's all for our episode on the Nutriban. It's a simple bread with a complex history that continues to divide and also continues to nourish, no, in equal measure, especially the e-Nutriban. In our next episode, we'll be exploring another significant object in Philippine life. At ito ang ating clue. It's an American import that became more Filipino than the Americans ever imagined.
So anyway, don't forget to follow us on our social media accounts and visit our website, podcast.org, for more resources.
So maraming salamat sa pakikinig. Until next time, this has been Podcast, Conversations on Philippine History, Politics, and Society. As always, have a good day.